Hello, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution episode. What the hell episode are we at? I didn't even title. I'm way off. The time change. The funny thing is this morning, usually the first thing I do is take a pee. Then I make coffee. Then I come down and get this started. Actually, no, I take a shower on weekdays. Weekends, make my coffee, take my pee, make my coffee, come down here. But today I've been up so long, I'm like, I'm not going to go on super early. So I uploaded some cards to Card Dealer Pro, logged some cards into Trading Card Database, watched some part of a Hallmark Christmas movie. And then I started and then I'm like, where am I going with this? And then I started uploading. So I'm gonna have to edit my title because it just says Sunday Funday. I'm like, it's Hobby Evolution. I don't remember typing in the number. I think it's 1022. That sound right? It's in the 1020s. I think it's 1021 or 1022. So how's your weekend been? Sunday Funday. My weekend was good so far. Did a little grocery shopping, so I had my coffee creamer. Went with the caramel vanilla. I was going to just go if my wife went to the store, I was just gonna get me French vanilla because it's easy. Because a lot of times when I'm shopping for coffee creamer, it's just I'm not looking for a specific. Usually I try to, because I go through like a bottle a month. So I want to switch it up. And I don't want to go 2 months in a row of French vanilla. So go hazelnut, Irish cream, or one of the new like fancy flavors they have, which one of those was caramel vanilla. So I went to the store last night. They continue to change. Like they've changed the setting. This is when you're old. You know you're old when you start complaining about the grocery store moving aisles around. I have reached that point in my life. So I go in and they've already changed like the liquor store. They moved the bakery to the other side. They redid like the coolers. They redid the meat department, the freezer section, and they're doing it in waves. So every single time for the last like 6 months, there's something different about this layout. Which I understand why they do it. They can't do the entire store at the same time. It'd be mass chaos. It's already chaos. So I get it. But I'm still going to be annoyed by it. So I kind of took it easy. I did some shipping yesterday. I don't think I did some. I did some garage stuff yesterday. So I did. I got some shipping done in the morning after the show, and about 11 o'clock, I wanted to get my garage stuff done before 1 o'clock because my alma mater, I should wear my football hoodie. Had a second round playoff game, which was on the NFHS network, which I got a subscription so I could watch some of the games. So wanted to get down by 1. So it was like 11 o'clock. I'm like, take Biscuit for a walk. We met a little poodle mix named Bailey. Bailey and Biscuit got along. Biscuit's a human puppy. She doesn't really like dogs that much. Kind of like me. I don't really like people that much, but I like your dog. Biscuit's like, I don't like your dog, but I like the person. So it's a good match when we go out for walks. Biscuit can, get petted by the human and I'll pet the dog. So we met Bailey. Cute little Bailey. So came back and I had to do my garage stuff. So did my garage stuff and I'm like I'm just appalled. And I'm a messy person and I'm just appalled by the mess they made doing the drywall in the garage. My steps leading down to the basement, just dust everywhere, shit everywhere, mud everywhere. I had like the funny thing is it created some art. I had like boxes, like crap, like cards that I was going to throw away, and just boxes of stuff. A lot of like the Goodwill stuff, like the banged up cards I just toss. So I didn't want to leave them. And so I've got a little like landing area just outside my basement where the steps are. So I just kind of throw that crap over there. Well, I left it there while they were dry. So it's like paint splatter, mud splatter, created some nice art. There was a Coors Light can. It's like all splattered. I'm like, this is pretty cool. So I tossed all that crap, got that out of the way, picked up all the shit, got the shop vac out, shop vacked everything. And it's still, it doesn't even look like, it looks no different. A few of the like chunks of stuff I was able to get up, but I'm going to have to get down and like, and you know, I'm not going to do that. I told, we were going to have our steps because we had the garage epoxied. And I think I shared that story where they're like, we can't start until you approve the quote. We're like, we never got the quote. We don't know what to, well, you got to call him. No, that's your job. So no, we don't want to do it. And so we didn't do it. And now it's like, shit, we should have just done it. Because now we're going to have to do something. It looks like shit. And if I say it looks like, and I told my wife, I'm like, it looks like shit. And if I say it looks like shit, that's bad. So I did that, got that done. We had hooks up in the garage. So I put all the shovels and rakes and all that crap in the garage. I felt like a real man yesterday out working in the garage, getting my hands dirty. So that's what I did. And I was done by 1. So I was able to watch the Anawan Wethersfield Titans in their second round playoff game against the Morrison Mustangs. And Morrison was good. It was a good game, by the way. Morrison had beat Princeton, the Tigers, and they're in the Elite Eight now. They beat a team that I used to cover play-by-play for, Monmouth Roseville. Princeton won. I think they won like 35-0, and they're in 3A. And they're like one of the top teams in 3A. Morrison during the regular season had beaten Princeton. So my Anawan Wethersfield Titans move on to the Elite Eight. 13-6 game. It was exciting. Unfortunately, there's no announcers on that broadcast. There was no announcer, so it was just the PA announcer that you could hear. I don't know the score. I don't know how much time is left, which is really annoying when it's a 1 touchdown game in the fourth quarter with the team that's losing marching. I had to go to Twitter and try to find the latest updates because I wasn't like watching intently. I was on my computer and I'd turn, watch plays. The good thing is you can hear the crowd. So like when something big happens, you hear the cowbells and you hear the cheers. Really great playoff atmosphere. I posted a picture on Twitter. It's just so awesome when you see a small town, high school playoff game with like 3-4 deep on the sidelines and the end zones. It's like, man, I wish I could have been there. I could have been there. I wasn't doing anything yesterday except cleaning the garage. So they actually play. So their quarterfinal game is this coming Saturday. It's 2:00 at Lena Winslow. Lena Winslow is like the number 1 team in 1A. Unfortunately, I have the Rockford Card Show, but fortunately, Rockford's only about a 40-minute drive to Lena Winslow. I don't know where the high school's at. Where's Kyle at? I bet Kyle knows. He lives in that area. So I'm kind of thinking like, okay, game starts at 2. That's about when the card show is going to be winding down. I'll just turn on the radio because I know one of the radio stations up here will be covering it. Or down, I should say down there because it's down there a ways from where I'm at. So maybe turn the radio on as I'm, at 2:00. And if it's Lena Winslow up by 3 touchdowns, I won't make the drive. But if it's a good game, I'll make the 40-minute drive and try to catch the second half. So I think that's what my plan is going to be. See if any of my friends are going. One of my friends has a kid that's in high school, so he might be coming up. I'm sure there's some other townspeople people that I went to school with that'll be there. So I might do that. Might do that next Saturday. So we'll see. I just see Dan Project. Project is part of my name. Winslow High School, Lena, Illinois. Okay, so the football field must be in Lena, and I think that's when I did Rockford to Lena I think it was 40, like right at 40 minutes. And let's see where I'm at. Yeah, probably 40 because I'm like right around the center of Rockford. So yeah. So I'll kind of pick and choose because I also see Dan's question right above that. Dan says, through the years you were in high school, was there a dominant football school in your class? I'm trying to think. Here's the funny thing. I wasn't paying close attention to high school. I loved high school football before I was in high school and after I was out of high school. And like when I was in high school, I didn't really care. I didn't play. And like I just didn't really follow. I was into other things. Kind of like baseball. I wasn't really into baseball cards. So in my actually when I got my license, my sophomore, but by the time I was a junior, it lasted like a year and then I was off doing other stuff. I don't remember. I do like in the 90s, I remember Arcola was always pretty dominant. Who else? Hardin Calhoun. They actually, my 4 years of high school, we only made the playoffs my junior year. And we had to go to Hardin Calhoun, which is down kind of as you're getting closer to St. Louis. And they whooped us like 42-6, I think. Hardin Calhoun was always good when I was in high school. Let's see. We were dominant in the early 90s. We made the Final Four a couple of years. Never made it to state. In fact, even now with the consolidation, Anawan Wethersfield, the two schools combined, have made the Final Four, I think, 3 times in the last 10, 15 years. I think they've been co-op since 2008. So 15 years. They made 3 or 4 Final Fours, but never a state championship game. They had a great opportunity. They went to a Final Four, and all of their starters were juniors. And so it's like next year's the year. But guess what next year was? COVID, no football. That sucked. So, but yeah, we were dominant early 90s, but just never made it through. I'm trying to think of who. Sterling Newman in the early 90s. Who else did we lose to? All the like northern, like Lena Winslow, Stockton, like all of those schools were and are always dominant in 1A. Zach says townspeople sounds like a role you get in a play when you don't have a speaking role, which is usually what I was in my school plays. I was townsperson number 1. Brian, good morning. Quincy High made the play. The Blue Devils made it to the quarterfinals for the first time in history. Cheers to the hometowns, Quincy Blue Devils. So and they're big. They're like what, 7A? So that's I'm sure they're either going to or I don't know. This is when it gets into the quarterfinals, it's tricky to figure out. In Illinois, it's based on the first 2 rounds are based on seed, I think. The highest seed hosts. And so Anawan Wethersfield was the highest seed in the first and second round. And now they're the lower seed, but in the quarterfinals, I think either it starts in the second round or the quarterfinals, it's the school that the team that's hosted the least amount of home playoff games. This may have changed. I've been out of the high school sports world for a decade now, but I think it's either when it starts in the second round or third round, the team that's hosted the least amount of playoff games is the host. So, Anawan Wethersfield host, and I'm sure Lena Winslow hosted their first 2 round games as well, and they're the number 1 seed in the bracket. All right, let's go to the top. And we say hello to Red Light 34. What's going on? Donald's in the house. What's happening? Turn the light on, says Red Light 34. My lights are on. Hey, Bronco's in the house. What's going on, Bronco? Hall of Fame card collector reporting from Terre Haute, Indiana, home of the Sycamores at Indiana State. Zach and Porter in the house. What's going on? And must have been in Oak Creek yesterday. Bronco ran into Zach and Porter. Very cool. Dan's in the house. What's up, Dan? Zach and Porter says likewise to Bronco. Cooter's checking in. What's going on, Cooter? Max says it's caramel. It's caramel. Caramel vanilla. The little small candies are caramels. Everything else caramel. James says kind of like a Rollo. A lot of empty tables at Oak Creek. Good buying day. Interesting. A lot of empty tables at Oak Creek. Good buying day. That's an interesting comment. What other shows? Well, Dallas wouldn't take away tables, dealer tables. No, I don't know where the dealer tables, where dealers would have been yesterday. What other shows were going on? Of course, Dallas, but that's going to take away some of the buyers, but not necessarily dealers. I think somebody mentioned lacrosse. I do know a lot of people that I know went to lacrosse. I had several people ask me about if I was going last week at the Madison Card Show. I had several people asking, "You going to be in lacrosse next weekend?" I said, "Nope." Which lacrosse isn't too far. I think 2 hours for me, probably 2 hours. Nope. I'll be in Rockford next week. Chicago Spectacular the following week, Madison the following week. So I got bang, 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 3 card shows in a row. So yeah, if I would have went somewhere to a card show, holy shit, if I would have went to a card show this weekend, that would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would have been like 6 weekends in a row. Is that right? Janesville, Madison this week, Rockford, Chicago, Madison, 6 weeks in a row. And I don't like doing card shows every weekend. I like my little breaks. I don't like cleaning the garage on those breaks, but I like the breaks. Flawed Thinker, what's up? Good morning. Zach says Max is accurate. Database, he says. I mix it up. Like if you ask me, what is Excel? And I will say Excel is a database. And if you ask me the website I use to log my Cubs collection, I will tell you it's called Trading Card Database. Data or data? I don't know. I use them kind of intermittently. Data. Donald says, got my coffee with 2 sugars and no cream. My coffee is Folgers Classic Roast. I got Dunkin', just I think medium roast Dunkin'. And I've got the caramel vanilla coffee cream, no sugar. There's enough sugar probably in my creamer. Jade, sometimes I just accidentally buy the sugar-free. I don't taste a difference because I don't like the last few days I've gone black coffee. I prefer creamer in my coffee, but I'll drink it. For the most part, I'll drink it black. Like I'm certainly not getting Starbucks coffee black. Ugh. I try to avoid Starbucks at all costs anyway. But like even Dunkin' and McDonald's, because it's typically a little, I don't know. It's not as light as I would like. JW, what's up? Good morning. Hoping for a Bears win today. If not, oh well, bring on the draft. So the Bears did extend Montez Sweat. So hey, that deal worked out. And see, football is, I guess football is a lot different when it comes to extending players during the season. Like baseball, it's like, if you trade at the deadline for, say Juan Soto, I know he's in the trading block here in the offseason, but if Juan Soto gets traded in July and he's a rental, like the chances of you working on an extension during the season in baseball is pretty low. But in football, I guess it's a thing. So yay Bears. I guess that was a good trade after all. Even though it was a second rounder, hey, we got Montez Sweat. I'm happy now. Now that he's signed, I'm happy. So it's going to be interesting. Where will the balls? Where will the Bears land the rest of the season and in the draft? So the more and more, I'm just kind of like, if we can get some good coaching and some good players, we've beefed up the defense a little bit with Montez Sweat. We need to get some offensive line help. I think I'm like, Justin Fields is not like a terrible quarterback. He does look bad at times. If he's average, quarterbacks win Super Bowls. As long as you have Rex Grossman took the Chicago Bears to a Super Bowl at the quarterback position. So instead of pissing away another top first round draft pick on a quarterback that may or may not pan out, we'll see. I'm kind of more on, I'm kind of a moron. Yes. I'm kind of more on the side of sticking with Justin Fields and using those top picks on talent. Marvin Harrison Jr. Can you imagine that? Two-headed beast at wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr. and DJ Moore. I mean, even a bad Justin Fields could make that work. And then use the other first-round pick on a lineman, beef up that O-line, hopefully like an Olu Fashanu from Penn State or Joe Alt from Notre Dame. Mark Marinello, good morning. Heading to our local card show today to fill some early 70s baseball sets. We'll be wearing my New York Knights jersey and cap. Very cool. I see these pictures and in these comments, and I'm a little jealous of digging through because usually I don't go to card shows as a buyer. Usually I'm always set up as a dealer or in Madison as the promoter and dealer. So I don't get that full card show experience as a buyer. But I will in Chicago in a couple of weeks. At the Spectacular, I will be on the road early. And so I don't know if I'll do a Hobby Evolution that Saturday morning. It depends on what time do the door. If the doors open at like 11, I think the doors open like at a crazy time. It's like 11 to 6 or something. It's crazy. So 11 o'clock, I probably would go live in the morning because it's only a 2-hour drive. So if I'm on the road at 8:30, that gets me there at 10:30 to park and walk in and maybe stand in line. So we'll see. We'll see. Max to James, lacrosse was dead Friday and heard it wasn't good yesterday either. Might help if YouTubers stop with the market is tanking talk. It is what it is. I don't think the YouTubers have much. I think it's just cards are fickle, man. Cards are fickle. And when you stop making money, I wanted to talk about that. There was Mike Summer tweeted this out, and I think this is a good time to bring this up. People want easy money, especially in cards, and it goes to just everything with cards. People want the easy money, and cards is not easy money. It's a freaking grind, And sometimes I wanted doom and gloom, like Max talking about the YouTubers talking about the market tanking. Sometimes I want to be real and be like, the market is going down. Because I don't want this false impression of, well, Bo quit his job and this guy quit his job and she quit her job and they're selling cards full time. It's easy and I can do it too. You can, but just know it's a lot of freaking work. It's a grind. We went to some friend's house yesterday. And so we hadn't talked in a while, and he's come out to the Madison. He's got a nephew that's into cards. He's still into cards, which is good. And comes out to the show, and he's like, "So how's it going?" And da 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 da. And he's like, "So do you work like 7 days a week?" And I'm like, "God, yeah, like 12, 14 hours a day. It's a freaking grind." And could I go make more money in an office job? Probably. Would I like it? Absolutely not. So I don't want to just say, "Oh yeah, it's easy. Come sell cards. It's just that easy." It's not. So let's present. So here's the thing, and here's a good example. And I see this a lot. I'm passing on pretty much all Topps, Fanatics, Panini Wax for the foreseeable future. Collections and singles are my focus. We can't create accountability for manufacturers unless we stop buying. Make them, the distributors, breakers, and shops, blow it all at a loss. Because Bowman Sterling is $350 a box with 5 autos on Fanatics, which actually that's kind of normal today. Like I don't see that as an egregious price. 5 autos, $350 a box. Like that's not, like Bowman for the last 5 years has been that type of, what's 350 divided by 5? $70 an auto. That's pretty cheap for a Bowman product. $70 an auto, you're paying over $100 for regular Bowman. At least Bowman Sterling has a little nice, probably resale is, I don't think resale is as good as Bowman, but this is not new. These prices are not new. We've seen these prices for a long time. Now, what's the product that everybody was flipping during COVID? Finest flashbacks, $50 a box. Well, how come it's not $50 a box anymore? Because you were reselling it for $400 a few years ago. Nobody was complaining then. They jacked up the prices to what, $200? You could still sell them, resell them for $400. Nobody was complaining then, even at that type of a markup. Now all of a sudden there's not buyers for your wax, and now we want to stop buying it because we can't make money. So It's just, it is what it is. I don't blame Fanatics one bit. I'm not as up on the Panini market. I don't know Panini pricing because I don't buy football and basketball unless it's at retail and I'm just bored. But for Fanatics, I don't blame them one bit. Look at the distributors getting high on the hog. Factory price $27. Distributors charging us the end consumer $100. Topps wants to get a little, Fanatics wants to get a little bit of that. I don't blame them one bit. It's a business. Yeah, to most or many of us, it's a hobby. But it is a business. They're not making cards to make us happy. They're making cards to make money. And I don't blame them for wanting to squeeze as much as they can and cut the middlemen out. That's how it should be. It's actually, it was always surprising to me. Like, why are they? Because I know Topps didn't have the power to distribute on their own. That's Fanatics' game, distribution. Topps didn't have that. Now Fanatics has the ability to distribute baseball cards. And is it going to be bad or good for collectors? Well, I was initially not skeptical at all. Like, I was like, let's just wait and see. This could be good for the hobby. Cutting out distributors could be good. I think in a way it is, but also it's not saving us any money because Topps Fanatics is just taking that. They're taking the fat. So far, I think it's actually hurting collectors with all the mistakes they've been making. We'll see. Well, right now, if you were to ask me, like a year ago, I'm like, let's just let it play out. Let's give them a year. It's been a year plus, almost 2 years, I think. That first year is basically just a transition, and you probably don't see much. We didn't see much change. Now we're starting to see that change, and we're starting to see it not for the good. Let's see. Where are we at? Bronco says, I thought Oak Creek was solid yesterday, but I did see more dealers packing up earlier than usual. And that's the last time I was in Oak Creek. That's what happened. Like, I didn't get there till like noon, and like I had a good 30 minutes of shopping time before everybody was packing up. It's like, Jesus. Let's see. Flawed Thinker says, told my wife last week about a card show happening next weekend, and now she wants to go. All she does is complain while at the shows. I need to find something else for her to do while I'm there. There you go. What is it? Is there anything nearby? Zach and Porter says Oak Creek was good as a bargain buyer. Bronco is correct. Some early pack up, but not as bad as the September pack up Bowen I witnessed. Yeah, that's the one I was at. That was brutal, man. That was terrible. Terrible. Where are we at? Let's see. Bronco says Bo was only into high school football for the concession stand pizza. No, see, in Illinois, it was pork chop high school football and pork chop sandwiches. Woo boy. And that's what I was into high school football for, the pork chop sandwiches. So pork chop sandwiches in Illinois is so big. The Illinois High School Sports Association, the IHSA, has a contest each year, a bracketed contest on the best pork chop sandwich. And so they have 4 different regions based on like pigs. Like, I can't remember what pigs are called. There's 4 different, like, the hell are they called? Like Hampshire. Is that a pig? Hampshires and stuff. I don't know. There's like 4 of them. They have regions. So I think my school was a couple years ago. They try to like mix it up each year, try to bring in new pork chop sandwiches. Arn Dog is going to Peoria Card Show today. That's at the, I always mix up the name. I actually set up at this with Dave about 10 years ago. It's on the Illinois River. It's at the River Center. Is that correct? So there you go. That's always a good show. I think it's an annual show. They do an auction for a fundraiser. So good luck today, Arnie. Low Roller says, how are you going to make money on dime boxes? 10 cents at a time. Zach and Porter says, your flip-flopping pronunciation skills earned you those townspeople roles, right? Exactly. Let's see. We never know if something is a good trade only because of an extension signed. We will know it was a good trade when the player retires. In this case, though, with Montez Sweat, we're giving up a second round pick, and that's like we didn't give up any player capital, just gave up a second round pick. And I know the Bears could use a second round pick, but I think it's a little like Jose Quintana for Dylan Cease and Eloy Jimenez. That was kind of at the time, it's like Quintana had player control, was coming off a great season. Cease and Eloy had not even played in the major leagues yet. You never know. And Dylan Cease was kind of, at the time, the throw-in. It was Eloy was the headliner. And Dylan Cease, over the past 5 years, has become the headliner of that deal, and as Eloy has dealt with injuries. This trade, we won't be able to truly grade the trade until 3 years down the road, hopefully a year or two down the road. But yeah, you never know. When I like to go back and look at trades when draft picks, it's like, okay, Bears traded this for whoever. Like, I think we could probably go back and see who the draft picks were that the Bears gave up for Khalil Mack. Now, again, it's all like you can't, because the Bears would have different draft picks than the Raiders. Khalil Mack, Bears Raiders trade. I wonder if there's there's got to be like an article that shows what the players were that came back or that were drafted. Am I reading? Hopefully, I'm not reading an old article. No, this is from September 2023. Come on. Okay. Can't find it. Somebody else wants to look for it. Let's see. Are you watching the football game from Germany today? No, I am not. I was watching a Christmas movie this morning. Damn sunlight. There. Oops. All right, that's better. Let's see. LOL, Fields needs to go at best as second string quarterback. No, I don't think so. I'm like still on that line. Like, I just don't want to piss away another first round pick on a quarterback. Because it's been proven time and time again the Chicago Bears cannot draft a quarterback that's decent. So and they drafted Justin Fields. So I guess what's that tell me? Let's see. Average quarterbacks do not take teams to Super Bowls. They're on a team that took them. Okay. Semantics. Yes, I agree. The Bears defense I agree 100%. Grossman was the quarterback, but we always say the quarterbacks lead the teams. But I agree with you. Yes. Rex Grossman was on the quarterback that went to the Super Bowl. But that's kind of like everybody says, well, you need Tom Brady to go to a Super Bowl. You don't. You just need a good team around you. And an average quarterback can get you to the Super Bowl. Let's see. Low Roller says people want to get rich on sports cards overnight. Exactly. It's like skill games and Bitcoin. People just want to get rich quick. Bronco says Chicago Sports Spectacular hours on Saturday, 9:30 to 5. Oh, perfect. Friday has the different hours, 3:30 to 8:30. Interest. Okay. So it must have been the last spectacular I went to. I didn't get into the show until 11, even though the doors open at 9:30. Is 9:30 the VIP? Because I thought 9:30, now that I'm thinking back, I think 9:30 to 10 was like the early, you pay up for early entrance. 10 is general admission. And I didn't get in until 11 because they don't know how to frickin' get the lines. I don't think we're going to have that problem this year, but we did a couple years ago. Okay, so I probably won't go live that Saturday morning then because I'll be on the road at 7 or 7:30. So I'll probably just skip the Hobby Evolution for that Saturday morning. And then I won't be on that Sunday morning because I'll be Club 400 trivia the night before. Royals 417 in the house. Just got back from the DCS. Good talk to Uncle Rich and John Keating at the show. Very cool. Collector's Dreams in the house. Good morning. Let's see. Flawed Thinker says, I've been trying to watch more NBA since baseball is over, and I'm having trouble trying to figure out what this tournament is all about. I have no idea. I just keep seeing people tweet about the tournament, and I don't know what it is. I know they're having like a tournament, but I don't know what it is. James says, bitch boy Tim Anderson is leaving Chicago. Max says, in my opinion, if dealers are packing up early, it's as much on the promoter as it is the dealers. Don't let them set up next time. Nobody wants to bite the hand that feeds anymore. Let's see. Max says never used to happen at shows pre-COVID. Around the shows I went to, there was a lot of packing up early down in, and it wasn't up here. It was down in Illinois. A lot of shows packed up early. Baseball card curmudgeon, what's up? Headed to the Lake Worth card show today. Next week, 450 table West Palm Beach card show. Very nice. BPL says the last card show I set up at, it was like that. Vendors were packed up with an hour to go till the end of the show. I hope the next few I set up at, the crowd is a little more willing to buy. And that's kind of, it's not really. So here, as a promoter, I want to go back to Max's comment. It ultimately, yes, it is on the promoter, because you need to have people. You need to get people out to the show. And if people aren't coming to the show, there's no reason for the buyer or for the dealers to stay. If the room is empty at 1:00, pack up. I would. If the show floor is empty as a dealer, even though I'm a promoter, I'm not pissing away, wasting my time for the next 2 hours in hopes of somebody comes through the door and comes to my table. I'm packing up early. So yeah, the onus is kind of on the promoter, but sometimes that's just the way it is. I mean, you can't just handcuff dealers to their tables until 3:00 or whatever time the show ends. So, buyers have to come out, customers have to come out. If customers aren't there, there's no reason for a dealer to stay. So I get it. And it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation when it gets to that. And it's probably going to start happening more and more as we experience the slowdown. We're going through it. It's going to continue. This isn't the bottom. It's going to get worse. If you think it's bad now, it's going to get worse. We're still way above pre-COVID. The market's still way above where it was pre-COVID. So there is, could it all of a sudden we get a bounce back and it stays plateaus? Yes, absolutely. But understand there's also a lot of room to drop within the market. So we could see more and more of less traffic shows, dealers leaving early, and it just is what it is. Just is what it is. I mean, at that point, if it starts to, and here it's kind of on the promoter to, okay, my very first show, maybe my first two shows. Again, I only had 17 tables the first show, 23 the second show. So you were in and out. Like, I mean, you walked this is it. Let's go. By 1:00, it was dead. I know a couple people came late and like, oh, where's everybody at? Well, didn't have that many tables, didn't have that many customers. They all packed up. And I think initially our hours were set 9 to 4. It's like, okay, 4:00's a stretch. So we cut it back to 3:00. And so 9 to 3 has been good. But, the Madison card show that preceded mine was on Sundays from 10 to 2. And I didn't like that because it wasn't enough time. And it was Sunday. I didn't like Sundays either. So, if this becomes a trend at any show, if by noon, 1:00 it's dead, maybe run the show hours 8 to noon. That still gives you a 4-hour window. If all the people are coming 8, 9 o'clock. I mean, I see early birds at my show. I had somebody come in at 6:55. And he's like, and I posted on the Facebook page, I'm like, early birds are welcome. I'm set up. 7 o'clock, I'm usually fully set up at the Madison card show. So if you want to dig through my bargain boxes, have at it. So a guy comes in 6:55. I thought he was a dealer because there was only a few dealers starting to set up. And he goes, I saw your Facebook post. It said early birds welcome. I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. I'm like, there's my boxes right there. And he spent 2-3 hours digging through my boxes. So I'll take the early bird money. Some promoters don't like that. I encourage it. So James was right behind him. Let's see. Where are we at? Let's see. Where are we at? Let's see. BPL says, I sell low-end stuff like quarter and dollar cards. One would like to think it'd be a bit easier to move that type of price point. It is, and it's not. The problem that I run into is, and it's a double-edged sword. The problem I run into is I'm not organized. It's okay. You want baseball boxes are there. Football boxes are here, basketball. It's organized within sport, but if somebody comes up and wants White Sox cards, Frank Thomas, Ken Griffey Jr., I'm like, yeah, there's probably some in there. I don't know where they're at. Some guy's got a list on a notebook, 1981 tops. I'm like, and I just say this. I'm like, there might be a few in there, but it's not worth your time to dig, because you might sit here for 3 hours and not find a single card. If you think that's worth your time, I wouldn't think that would be worth your time. I won't make that decision for you, but I would say it's probably not worth your time to dig on something like that. But so why don't you sort? Well, what do I sort by? Team, year? Somebody's looking for 81 tops, and I've just got rows and rows of Atlanta Braves cards. There might not be any 81 tops in there. So do I sort it by year? Do I sort it by team? And it takes a long time to sort cards. I'm not sorting cards for quarters for 25 cents at a time, which are usually, discounted down to 20 cents or lower. So, it is what it is. What could I make more money if I had them sorted? Maybe, but I bet it really wouldn't make much of a difference. Maybe I make an extra 30 or 40 bucks in sales, but it's going to take me 12 hours to get them sorted. Is 12 hours, 40 bucks worth it? Not to me. No. Let's see. Low Roller says it's like the World Cup basketball tournament, like Europe soccer. It's mid-season tournament in NBA. Let's see. BPL says a lot of times it's become a dealer on dealer show. And a lot of times that's good. If you've got to make the card show, it's on you to make the card show. You can decide if a card show sucks or if a card show is awesome. And all it takes is how you do the show. Most of my best card shows have been very shitty sales card shows. And so that's when people say, well, the goal of a card show is to make money, make sales on cards. No, it's not. I don't have a primary. Sometimes I'm at a show and my primary focus is making sales. But most of the time it's not. Most of the time it's threefold. It's making sales, like at least some sales to make it worth my time, right? It's networking, because I'm a show promoter, and I know most of us are not show promoters, but as a show promoter, I can network with other dealers that set up at my show, dealers that I would want to set up at my show. And 3, as a buyer. And usually I have more time to buy when the show is slow. And what do dealers want to do when the show is slow? They want to make money. And sometimes you want to make money. It's like, I just want to get rid of these boxes. Okay. And I can buy them. I get really good deals. I was the 2-day Loves Park show that last day. Like there's nobody, it's a very low traffic on that day. Some guys like, I just need to make some money. I'll do $200. It's like, oh yeah, done. Great deals. Let's see. Don't take my promoter comments personally. Madison, SP, and Janesville are the only shows. Stevens Point and Janesville are the only shows I've been to that are worth a damn. Well, thank you. Let's see. Max says buyers will buy if sellers are willing to sell and bring sellable stuff. Was willing to buy thousands in lacrosse this weekend. The couple tables that had stuff I wanted came down $5 on a $70 card after I told him I wanted to spend a bunch. But yeah, that's the thing. And a lot of times when a dealer's like, I didn't do any sales, but they brought the same stuff as the month before. And it's so, sometimes the stuff doesn't move. And sometimes it depends on what you have. Vintage is not like, I think vintage is different. Like you can bring the same vintage month after month because you're probably, you've got to find, that's kind of a niche thing. Unless it's like 60s and 70s, like set fillers, then you want to restock your boxes or whatever it might be, because you might have the same customers like, hey, I'm trying to build a 68 set. And like, oh, these are the same cards I saw last month. If it's modern, you want to restock the modern because that's more liquid than most vintage. Let's see. James says shows should start at 5 a.m. I disagree with that. On like most accounts. Let's see. Where are we at? BPL agrees with Max. I'm more than willing to lower my prices to make a customer happy and feel like they got a deal. Let's see. The goal of a card show for me is to bring more home than I came with as a dealer, whether that's cash or cards. I look for the total number. Hey, there you go. Need more cash or more cards. That's a good way to look at it. I like that. Either bring home more cards or more cash. I like it. I use card shows to network with other dealers, card friends, potential new buyers and customers, and to promote my shop. Absolutely. And that's the perfect example. People ask me on Twitter when I'm like, hey, I bought all these for, X amount. And they're like, oh, how come I never get those deals? It's like, do you leave the house? Do you talk to people? Like, that's the number one thing. And somebody goes, well, I don't like to do that. Well, that's why you're not getting those deals. Like, it's like, I source like 99% of my inventory from people I've met through card shows. Sometimes it's customers. Most times it's dealers. And a lot of times, like, dealers buy this bulk and they move it to this. They do some of this over here, some of that. And then I get the leftovers. Like, you want these junk boxes? Sure. You have to networking. And that's like with any type of business, like networking is key. And some people just aren't wired to talk and communicate. That's okay. Like, that's not a bad thing. But if you want to make deals like this, it's very important. Let's see. I make money during the week. Don't need shows to make money, but it definitely helps. And that's exactly how I look at it. And that's why it's kind of secondary to me. Shows, like, show income is secondary to me. Do I want to make some money? Absolutely. And usually I want to make some money to buy more inventory. And where do I buy more inventory? The shows. So the more I make it a show, the more I can buy it a show. And that's exactly how I look at it. Like, my money's made during the week, and the weekend at card shows, that's kind of a bonus. That's my monthly bonus, is setting up at a card show. Let's see. Max says, I'm already up at 5 to travel to shows. No thanks. Right. Yeah. Now he's got to wake up at 3. Let's see. Flawed Thinker says, dealers that have a table or multiple tables of value boxes should be required to have chairs. Plenty of chairs at my tables. Plenty of chairs at my bargain boxes. James says, a lot of the guys I buy from at Oak Creek were giving me half off deals to clean out inventory. That's this time of year. You'll start to see that. And like, I've already started to, like, this weekend in Rockford, next Saturday, I'm blowing out. I've got dime boxes instead of quarter boxes just to blow out inventory. I'll have some $50 boxes. Didn't sell a damn one at Madison. Maybe I can move some in Rockford. I've actually had good success in Rockford moving bulk. So maybe somebody takes me up on those $50 boxes. I included one in my bulk sale on Friday. I'm like, you know what? Here's a little treat. A whole quarter box. Let's see. BPL says, I also try to bring more boxes back than what I bring to shows, always trying to get more new inventory, so I end up getting stuff from those dealers that pack up early. Absolutely. Now, all this card show talk is is making me Jones for next Saturday. Rockford Card Show. Come see me. My eBay store has been scrolling. Let's pop up that Rockford show. Saturday, November 11th. That's next Saturday, or I guess it's this coming Saturday, I should say. A week from yesterday. This Saturday, IBEW Banquet Hall in Rockford. It's been a while since we've been at the Banquet Hall. I think, when was the last one there? March? February? It's been a while. So we're back at the hall, back at the IBEW Banquet Hall. This coming Saturday, Rockford Card Show. I'll be a buyer in Chicago on Saturday, November, the 18th, at the Chicago Sports Spectacular at the Donald Stevens Convention Center. I'll be looking to buy, probably do some, I'm not looking to buy bulk there, more cherry picking. So going to be there on Saturday. That night it's Club 400 trivia, music trivia. And the following weekend is the Madison Card Show, Saturday, November 25th at the Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive. Where we at? Let's see. Low Roller Scratcher says we should start selling sports cards at flea markets, get new types of people. That's actually a pretty good idea. I've considered that, and I know some people do set up at flea markets. I've never tried it, but maybe. So that's what I had for today. Happy Sunday. It's weird. I don't even know what time it is. I woke up and I knew because I got into bed at like 9:15, read some of a book, and I'm like, damn, I'm going to wake up super early tomorrow because it's fall back. So it is, did my computer actually, yeah, because I think it is 8:30. Formerly this time of day yesterday, it was 9:30. I was up at 3:57, like wide awake. Grab my phone, scrolling Twitter, scrolling Facebook. Should I get out of bed? It's 4:00. Probably not, because by 7 or 8, I'm going to be freaking taking a nap. So I laid back down, got up like an hour later, scrolled again, went back, and I think I finally got up at 6. What time? It's 8:30 now, 7:30. Yeah, so like 6:30 I got up. So here we are. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Back on normal time, 7 a.m. Central, which now are we in Central Standard Time now, I guess? Yes, this is Central Standard Time. So back at it tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. So hit up my eBay store, link in the description. I'm actually adding some, as soon as I log off here, I'm going to upload a batch of football singles. I did some lots yesterday and actually sold a couple player lots. Actually, I sold like 4 or 5 player lots yesterday, which is a good turnover because I've only listed 12, 15. So I sold a small lot of Karl Malone, a small lot of John Stockton, a small lot of Tim Duncan, and a small lot of Zach Gallen rookie cards. So basketball, and I've listed some. I think the football have been just big lots. Like I have a 100 card lot of Drew Brees up and a 100 card lot of Matthew Stafford up. So we'll see if that gets any traction today, being a football Sunday. So I might focus on some small football lots today, being a Sunday. So that's what I had. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great Sunday, and we'll see you tomorrow.